I was tweeting about how I was on the WPblab. That's literally what I just did. Look at my timeline. There's a tweet from 20 seconds ago.
What's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WPblab episode number 85. Today's topic is co-branding your WordPress product. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. So before we introduce our guest, we're going to introduce ourselves and be a little rude here. And Bridget, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I am Bridget Willard, and I am with Give. We're the most full-featured donation plugin. Stop laughing, Josh. I can't. We don't say robust anymore because it became a drinking game. Hi, I'm Bridget Willard. I am with Give WP, the most full-featured donation plugin for WordPress. We have an import tool, super awesome, lots of add-ons. Find out more at givewp.com.
She didn't say it. Sorry, folks. I didn't get to.
No,
I didn't
robust.
get to do it. Oh, okay, robust. All right, robust. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. That's where you can find all the fun stuff that's going on over there. Currently, it's powered by DIVI. Last week, it was powered by Beaver Builder. Next week, it may be Visual Composer. We'll see how crazy I want to be or not. We'll see what goes on there. So I'm kind of making my rounds around all of the various page builders and stuff. So feel free to go take a look at that. And lastly, we do a show also on Fridays. We're actually not doing it this Friday. We're going to be doing it next Friday. And it's going to be our 250th episode of WP Watercooler. And not only that, it's 5 years of us hitting record on that thing. So
is that the paper anniversary?
It's my what anniversary?
Is it a paper anniversary? Paper, wood, silver? What?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. I'll have to look that up and see. Go sit there and made little blocks of wood. And I was like, here
what does Steve say and Chris Lemma going to get you for your anniversary?
Exactly. So we've been rude long enough. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
You've been rude to me. You were nice enough to have me on your show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we love you. And we let you start it this time by telling everybody that you tweeted it out.
You were accusing me of writing a plugin. I was like, I'm tweeting about your show. Hi, I'm Josh Pollock. I am the lead developer, co-founder, Space Astronaut Grade 3 for Caldera Labs, the makers of Caldera Forms.
Nice.
It is a drag and drop responsive form builder for WordPress. It's free to try. Just type in Caldera Forms to the plugin installer, or check us out at calderaforms.com.
Sweet. Just hold it right there. All right.
Okay,
you only got an hour, so you should be all right.
Just put it on your forehead, Josh. You could put it on your right here above the circle of whatever is happening.
We're Camp Pittsburgh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a nice shirt.
Lastly, I wanted to make a quick little shout out to the folks that help us out with our show notes. Thank you very much to Cheryl and Sherry for helping us out with that stuff. Every once in a while, James Tryon helps out as well. I really appreciate all the efforts that you guys do in getting us some awesome show notes that we get to share with all the rest of the folks that watch this. So thank you very much for doing that for us. We really appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit about co-branding, a product that taps into WordPress in some regard, and kind of doing this co-branding type of thing between two different products. So, I know that we've seen a bunch of these sorts of things happen, but Bridget, can you tell us a little bit about how that works and how you're envisioning co-branding with WordPress products?
Sure. So co-branding is when you take your brand and backpack on another brand and their influence and their audience in order to leverage for both of you. As we were talking about earlier in the pre-show, Eddie Bauer and Ford did this with the Eddie Bauer Bronco or Explorer or whatever it was. Eddie Bauer is a designer of clothing and sporting goods, and so he did the interior. Obviously, he did design the car, not an automotive guy, but that happens a lot with different, interior designers and automobiles. In the WordPress space, it could be a plugin with another plugin, a plugin with a theme. It could be a host offering plugins, offering products. With phones, a lot of times your phone comes installed with software you don't want on it. It's a good or bad thing, but so basically it's, partnering up with another brand in order to elevate yours and or gain a different audience segment. I didn't get an MBA like Christy Chirinos. She can correct me on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
She probably will. Come on, let's be honest.
Caldera shout out.
Yeah, you haven't had anybody from my company on in a while, so
No, it's been at least a week, so we thought we'd hit you up. And we were even asking you, are you going to have to hire somebody for like the next couple weeks, you know, to make that happen?
Another person for you. Like you can, you guys probably don't know Nico. He does support and development for us. He's really great. He's French, so you probably haven't crossed paths with him. But he's cool. You should have him on, talk about like, I don't know, what WordPress development, what the community's like in France.
That's awesome. We can totally do that
soon. Like hopefully within 2 weeks. That way you guys have another person to have on your show.
Oh,
well, to get to your actual question, a good example of co-branding, I think, is we've done 2 of these recently with y'all, Caldera and Give. Well, one on the Give brand where we did this tutorial that like Matt wrote, but I helped him out with figuring out how to, he did this great tutorial on using Caldera Forms to submit a type of new fundraiser that you would want a company to do. So it's like, this nonprofit will, we want to propose this fundraiser and we'll do X, Y, and Z with it, right? So it's a peer-to-peer fundraising. And so that was something that Matt wrote, but we worked together on getting it together. And then, it was on your website, but then we promoted it in social media, and then we made a post later that linked back to yours that worked out really well. There was the WordPress thing that, I wrote an article that had an embedded video that was Kevin and Matt from the Give team, and then I wrote an article about it, and then Kevin wrote some good articles. Kevin wrote some really good articles about it. His were better than mine. So that's a good example of, we showed a little bit of how our products work together. So that's of good value to the end user. These product partnerships that make no sense. It's like your phone comes with something. You're like, why the hell does my phone come with this, right? But you don't want to force. You're looking to expand your audience. Everybody in the WordPress world is building their email list, building their social media, and we've all carved out this little part of the community around our products. So it's great when you can do those kind of co-brands. And, we have these third-party plugins coming up that we're excited about. And it's another extension of that. But, we've always done well with people, like Give and your team, some of the stuff we've done with Aspen Grove, DIVI developers, where we help them. Yeah, they did to like make it look good because they do brilliant stuff. Like Aspen Grove makes really nice themes, and they would do plugins as well, which are cool plugins. But their themes just look great. And one of our things is that we know that people like Caldera Forms because they're easy to style. They look good out of the box. And that's because we tried to make it look very neutral, right? It just kind of works with any WordPress theme. Sometimes people want a really like bold design. So we worked with our friends at Aspen Grove, David and Corey, and they developed a set of DIVI layout packs, different landing pages, different types of pages that involve Caldera Forms. And then they ran the promotion on their website, and we drove a lot of traffic to their website. They drove a lot of traffic back to us, and it was a real win-win. Their customers are looking for ways to make DIVI sites look good, and they also have lots of crossover with us, right? You need a form builder. So that was a really good example of it just made sense. And it was another, DIVI's that example of a community that's kind of a sub-community. And I say that in a good way. They've built a really strong community around their product.
And I think that could be said for a lot of big, large themes, especially themes that are where you're kind of building on top of them. So something like Genesis or something like that, where you have developers that are building a child theme for it that works with Genesis, that then works with WordPress. So like those 3 things together make up the actual product. So you have your product ends up having a prerequisite for somebody else's product to finally make it end up, being connected. So I can see where like tying those pieces together, you need to have a good bond with the various companies that are either building the parent system that you're tied into, or if it's something like Caldera Forms where it's like they're the parent piece that's making everything happen, and then all these other companies are the ones that are tying it in and making it kind of connect to other stuff.
Yeah, totally. And that's huge because sure, there's an Asana project somewhere. It's like, what if we built themes, right? And there's a lot of virtue to that idea. Yep. We're not going to build themes. We don't have that in-house competency, and we have 9,000 better ideas that we're not, that we're going to get to 8,900 some of, right? And so it's really, if that's why you do it, right? And that's why you go to WordCamps to meet people, right? It's so that way you can have these kind of conversations later on about, hey, what if we did this and that? you know, I'm super excited. We were just talking. We're all going to see each other this weekend at WordCamp Los Angeles, which is weird, right? Like, I mean, it's cool, but it's like I don't normally see you guys. Like, you have me on your podcast once every like platform. I was on WPblab when it was on Blab. That's like old school.
It is.
Can I have a
Very
shirt that says
hipster
that?
of you.
Yeah, you were. You and James Laws, we talked about forms, and you guys blew my mind.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I remember that. I like James.
So it's the Caldera Ninja.
Yeah.
It was the Caldera Ninja, exactly.
Yeah.
Old school blab.im episode. That was a co-branding.
Yeah. That's interesting. We don't this much.
So how do you think someone who's building something off of something else, or is going to do some type of wanting to do some type of co-branding, how should they approach the other side of it? Either the one that's the parent piece that kind of it's the prerequisite for their thing to happen, or is, you know, kind of how would they approach them?
So I only have experience in the WordPress community. Okay,
Yep.
I'll take that back. I have run a different business in the past in a different industry, and it failed because I didn't build those kind of partnerships, right? I didn't put the social part of the business in, right? I was busy. I was, you know, I mean, I didn't realize that was a part of it. And so I think the first prerequisite to that is get involved in the community. I'm very lucky that one of the first things that I did with WordPress was I was like, oh, I can make a theme. Didn't occur to me that like you know, colorblind, spatially dyslexic, and like I was never gonna make anything that looked good. Like that I had the technical skills that I can write CSS didn't mean that I should. But it was good because I was like, hey, I'm gonna make a WordPress theme. How do you get a WordPress theme on WordPress.org? So I looked it up, and it was submitted here. Then wait for 6 months. Does that bother you? You should join the WordPress theme review team and make the line short. Which is right. That's the thing. It was like, is that a problem that there's not enough volunteers? Why don't you volunteer? Was the bitch. And I was like, oh, okay. And that worked out really lucky for me because that was my first time working in the community, right? I don't review themes anymore because I don't do themes. Like I've had my themes removed. I was like, don't. Like I literally messaged John and I was like, can you just remove my themes? They're embarrassing. And so that got me into starting to meet people. And then I would go to WordCamps and be like, oh, I met you on, you know, theme review team, or like you know, this is all before there's like IRC back in the day, remember, before Slack. And so you just start building those communities, and then you go to a WordCamp and you have people that, you know, at a WordCamp or in general, because, you know, you've met them or you know somebody who knows them. Like WordCamps are so friendly, like, and you meet people, you know, in Facebook groups. You know, I know y'all because Facebook groups, right? Like I know
Definitely.
Jason because, well, I know Jason because he does WPwatercooler, but I know WPwatercooler is a thing because I was on Advanced WP, right? And I know Bridget by association through Man and Devin. How do I know Man and Devin? Advanced WP, and then I met them at WordCamps, and eventually I went to WordCamps that Bridget was at, so now I know Bridget, right? And so I think that's really, really key because these things are kind of weird because at some point you have to sit down and say, hey, I need something from you. You have to know what it is that they need from you that's mutual, and then what your customers need from you and from them, and their customers need from you, right? That gets weird. That's
Okay,
so
but
much easier if you're friends.
can I just pause for
Sure.
1 second? Okay. Strong agreement.
Strongest
Is it
agreement. Strength level agreement.
Okay. So it's not always, because in our community, we resist the hard sell so bad. Okay. I would say, and tell me if you agree with this. Do you think there's more like, okay, I'm Josh Pollock. I'm going to call up the CFO of Give WP and say, I would like to do this meeting with you and let's discuss how we could co-brand our products? Or is it, hey, we're sitting around and we're talking. We're like, what? Wait a second. What if we did this? What would happen? Do you think it's more what ifs and less like, let's have a board meeting and figure out how this works out in the WordPress space?
So I do think that the WordPress space is resistant to hard sells. I also think in a good way. I think it's a detriment to our community. We have this feeling as if it's bad to want to make money sometimes. I think that's wrong, right? Because none of us would be doing this if there wasn't a profit motive. And I will never apologize for wanting to make money. You know, at some point, Christy has to pay bills that like prevent us from, you know, our servers getting turned off or not getting paid or something like that. And whenever that happens, like we're no longer a company, and that would suck.
Right.
And so I never apologize for the fact that I make free software with the goal of making money off. Because I want to keep doing it. And that whole thing where I can afford to, you know, go to California, go to a WordCamp, or like put gas in my car is really nice. I'm not going to give that up.
I'm not going to give up putting gas in my car.
Or take a lift, which is my preferred way of getting around. But you see what I'm saying? Is it? Yeah. I think getting away from the hard sell is great. I don't want to deal with hard sells, so I'm never going to do it. But that also has to be. Don't get into this like there's something wrong with making money.
Right.
That if the point of your business is to make money, this is probably a bad space. There's money to be made, but you're not going to make a killing like go trade stocks. But don't be like that shouldn't be your point, but it should be important to you. And then I think you do have to turn a friendly conversation into a serious friendly conversation. I think that is a tone of the WordPress community, you know, that I like.
Yeah.
I like that I'm generally, you know, you should start a professional message with, hey, how's it been? I saw you asked whatever. It was great to see you, right? I think it's great when you actually mean that, right? That could be total BS. That could totally be something that like HubSpot or whatever, like whatever CRM you have is like telling you. You could automate all of that.
Look,
right?
If somebody calls me, in fact, this is kind of a funny thing. I'll just, you know, because this is my role right here. So there was this guy, because I'm single now, so I tell these semi-dating stories. There was this guy who was calling me on the 15th of every month, or messaging me, sorry, on the 15th of every month. And by the third time I said, holy crap, that guy put me in a CRM. That's not happening. You had to put me in HubSpot, Salesforce, or some other CRM in order to remind yourself to send me a message. That's not how we start a relationship.
You're like, hey, Bridget, so how was your birthday last week?
Bridget, is this somebody, a gentleman who wanted to date you, or is this somebody who wanted to like form a business relationship with Give?
No, dating.
Okay,
That's why it's funny. But still, I'm just saying, like, like, don't be so surprised somebody wants to date me, Josh. He's like, you're not falling off your chair laughing because it's so ridiculous. But I'm saying, like, we can tell if there's a pattern established that your communication only happens on the fourth Sunday.
Hold on. So
don't put me in your CRM.
We're getting off track here. Is your argument that dudes are like optimizing their online dating system with the CRM or CRM like technology? Because it's not. Somebody makes that happen. It's probably a terrible idea, but people will sign up for it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, okay, so you know me, I'm always going to exaggerate for humor. Unfortunately, that was not an exaggeration. That was a real story. And
I feel bad.
Don't feel bad. I cut them loose. Like, get me out of your CRM. If I'm not top of mind because of how awesome I am and my purple flower, then we're out. It's not going to work. Okay. So, but the thing is, like, when my parallels is somewhat serious, right? That was the humor. That's my responsibility of this show.
I appreciate it.
That in the WordPress space, right? There's a little bit of that attitude, a flavor of it, where if that you can sense that kind of predatory move, and if we can sense that it's too aggressive, then we pull back. And so you can use a CRM, but I would definitely like be cognizant about not calling somebody the fourth Tuesday of the month. It's not a meetup. You know what I mean? Don't be in your pattern like that. Don't pattern it after traditional sales.
But so we would use like Asana that'll be like, hey, follow up with Matt or Bridget about that thing we said we would do, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it is like a serious conversation. It is a serious conversation, right?
And you should do that. You should take it seriously. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but like when you get phone calls, because there's a couple sales guys that will call me, my old friends, they're salespeople. And it's always on the same time of the month. Like, how stupid do you think we are? We're all smart engineer, developer people. I'm not a developer, but I have that mind, right? I could if I wanted to.
So
it's all in the codex, right? I could make a plugin if I want to.
The takeaway here that somebody should build.
We get patterns. You can't. You still have to treat people like people, even if you're forming these business relationships with the co-branding. It has to feel natural because in many ways, co-branding is forming a mutual beneficial relationship. It's not unlike dating. That's my segue and analogy.
So I think that I think the thing about the term co-branding is that at least in my mind, it needs to be both directions. So for instance, if like Caldera Forms. So Caldera Forms has a couple different add-ons. Let's say one of them is for a CRM, just random CRM. And so random CRM connects to Caldera Forms. Everything works fine with that. But random CRM does not go and create a page, the landing page that says, guess what? We do this great thing with this thing called Caldera Forms. Go take a look at it. No, they don't do that at all. So I don't think there's like a way of that having that relationship actually happen. What it is it's saying we have recognized, as Caldera Forms have recognized, that all these other things that are out here should totally tie into our system.
Right.
And we're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
So it's not like Salesforce came to you guys and said, hey, so we're wondering, can you make this thing talk to our thing? It's like, no.
If they did that, I will buy you a bottle of champagne, John.
Right? They have an API. You have an API. Things start talking to each other. Stuff starts working. We're good. So I think that's the main takeaway to this piece when it comes to co-branding is if you see somebody, like for instance, I'm looking on CSS Hero's website. So csshero.org, they have a thing on there for Beaver Builder. Now, if you go to Beaver Builder's website, I'd imagine, and I haven't totally dug into this because I'm trying to have a conversation here on a show, but I'd imagine that there's probably some place on Beaver Builder's website that says, yeah, right? That there is some place on Beaver Builder's website that says, hey, we work with CSS Hero. You wanted to update your CSS? Here's totally how to do it. And I think it's because you're kind of working with each other's strengths. Yep. So Beaver Builder is not a CSS editor, and CSS Hero is definitely not a page builder.
So this is something that we're dealing with. Is a major focus for us. Is that we've grown really well, which is great. And so we're at 100,000 active installs, which I regularly do the math. And last time I did it, there were 220 some WordPress plugins that were more popular than us at WordPress.org. So we're like starting to get to right. We're not Contact Form 7. We're starting to get very popular, which is fun. And so we're starting to talk with a lot of people who want to build stuff for us. Some people just do it, right? We're like, there's some stuff in Code Cannon. We're like, hey, that's cool. But we're starting next week, we'll be selling third-party add-ons on our site. And that's really fun in that there's, it's the ones with Divi. I know, Jason, where are you in your page builder saga? Are you to Divi yet?
I'm on Divi right now. Yeah, that's where JasonTucker.blog is what's running on Divi right now.
Okay, so we love the Divi community. I like Divi. I used to write for elegantthemes.com. I like it. It's something that I've used a lot as a mock-up tool. It's something that I like because I can't go into Photoshop. I couldn't go into Photoshop and make a thing and be like, hey, what about this? Like, it wouldn't work, and I can't draw.
Right.
So I like using Divi and Elementor. And we use Elementor on our site, but I like using Divi just as like a layout. Like, hey, look at this. I find it to be the fastest tool to be like, hey, what about a website roughly like this when I'm talking to somebody who can actually make a nice looking website. But we're doing one of the plugins. It's a community member, Pierre Bichette, who's he contributed to our translation day. He's written a little bit about Divi and Caldera Forms styling. He's just a guy who does web development with Divi and Caldera Forms and other tools, and made this cool plugin that lets you go into the customizer when you're using Divi or Extra and style Caldera Forms perfectly with Divi without, no CSS, right? Yeah, that's, Reactive does that plugin for Genesis. It's kind of that, but very Divi and Caldera Forms. And so that's a kind of partnership where we've in the past, there are people who, like in the Beaver Builder world, there's the Beaver Bundle. It's a third-party group, and they have a form module that works with Caldera Forms. So we have a third-party add-ons list on our page. It's like, oh, you can do that with Caldera Forms of this. But we're sort of taking this to this next level where, we have 3 of these coming out, 2 paid ones, 1 free one. I don't think I'm getting in trouble for mentioning any of this. We're doing Divi Customizer next week, the week after Caldera Forms Pro. Caldera Forms PayPal Advanced, we really need another third-party one where it says we have like PayPal Express. This one does like all the no redirects, you know, like all the fancy API stuff, the recurring billing, stuff that our customers have wanted forever, and we've third-party. It's wonderful. And then we have a third-party anti-spam one where somebody like, you know, wanted to resurrect an old feature, and so I was like, cool, I'll work with them on it. So that's a whole nother level where I'm kind of running this program, where we have people in our Slack, we're talking with them, you know, and that's important because we're going to end up being involved in the support process.
Right.
Right. That's the other thing is you have to start planning for what comes next. Right. You know, it's this, you know, you have this initial conversation, you talk about the plan, then you've talked about your social media plan for your plan. You know, hey, on this date, we're going to do this, this, and this. Great. Well, you need social media and email marketing before that. You need social media and email marketing after that. And also doing like follow-up posts, right? Use the example before of Give, you know, doing peer-to-peer fundraising with Give and Caldera Forms. We let the Give team go first with that, right? It was their post. They did most of the work. But then we did a follow-up post that, you know, put more attention on it and created backlinks that are referential, right? Which is important for SEO. And then that's the thing, when you're doing something like a third-party add-on where we're going to sell on our site something that somebody else made. So I think if somebody makes a third-party add-on and I say, hey, I think it can do this, but you can contact the author there. It's on my website. I have a long-term responsibility to make sure that continues to work for people who are now my customers.
Right.
Now we're starting to run a marketplace. So it's a whole other thing. And so these partnerships aren't just about, you know, go out, make friends.
Yeah, because how else is somebody going to know that, oh, that your product's great for what I'm trying to do and my product's great for the thing that you don't do? How do we make these two talk to each other? And not only that, but make it so that they look good when they're both installed.
Make it look good and also prepare for when it doesn't go well.
Right.
Every single thing that you do, you have to prepare for it not to go well.
Yeah.
Because some percentage of people, right, it's WordPress, like some percentage of the combinations of WordPress stuff. I mean, you can tell new WordPress users when they're like, how is it that like every single WordPress plugin and theme don't play well together? And I'm like, you're new. Bless your heart.
Right. It's not like it's Microsoft and all the applications that run on Microsoft's operating system. Like Microsoft does not care one bit at all that Photoshop does not run on their operating system when something breaks. There may be a talk that happens somewhere in there where one developer goes out to dinner with another developer and they kind of figure out what it is, that DLL that's missing or that whatever. I doubt it. Usually it's going like Photoshop's going like, oh no, how do we fix this thing? And Windows is like, dude, we're still selling Windows. Like, we don't care how this stuff works or not on here.
It's because they're big enough to not care, but they didn't start that way, did they?
Right. And that's where I'm thinking that with, especially when it comes to Josh's company, is that he wants to make sure that his stuff is going to work really well with the companies that he's partnering with, which I would imagine probably means that at some point, Josh, you're going to have to go and say like, here's an early build of our next thing that's going to be coming out. You need to test against this. Oh, and by the way, your guys are putting something out. Give me an early build of what you guys are doing, and let's make sure that these things both work together, especially since you're the one that's going to be selling it sometimes, right? I mean, you're going to have a marketplace there, right? Yeah, so we're starting to get into that because in the past, you know, there are plugins on, you know, Caldera Forms, Google Sheets. Somebody who I now know, guy I never met, was working on a project for something, you know, some personal web development project, and needed Caldera Forms to link automatically to Google Sheets. Right, the best answer we could give. This is before we had Zapier. Right. Zapier add-on is really neat. Zapier add-on for Caldera Forms kind of does everything. I'm obsessed with Zapier right now. Let's not do an hour on marketing automation with Zapier, but I could do it. We should totally do that. I would love to do that. Oh, I'm super. You're going to start seeing me writing about Zapier. We may do a 2-hour episode that day. We'll see how that goes. Like the Caldera Forms was it was Zapier add-on, and the Easy Digital Download Zapier add-on right now are just my life. Just making them do cool stuff. But what was I going to say? So there's like a Google Sheets add-on that's just like, you know, hey, it's WordPress. You made a plugin for a client site, put it on WordPress.org. There are a bunch of those for Caldera Forms, and you know, I tend to read them and I, you know, send the messages to people, but it creates a weird situation. And I think, you know, the strength and weakness of WordPress is that you have all these. You know, there are 10,000 WooCommerce add-ons out there. Yeah.
right? I mean, if you go on my GitHub, there's a bunch of random WooCommerce add-ons that I wrote because I had clients, right? That like don't ask me to support. I don't remember anything about them, but if you want them, they're on GitHub.
Well,
yeah, Bridget.
we didn't really talk about the elephant in the room either, you guys.
Who's the elephant?
Do you know who we're all co-branding with?
WordPress.
They're actually co-branding with WPwatercooler. I don't know what you're talking about, Bridget.
And now that WordPress.com allows you to install plugins, if you have a business account, that now matters to plugin authors.
Yeah,
it's great. I love it because
it could be great. The last time Jason and I tested it, it was a less than optimal experience. Jason Cannell and I.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you?
We're a little bit. Yes, we did. Because we didn't, and Matt kept trying to help us. We go, we don't want your help. That's the whole point. We want to be able to do this on our own. We're the target of WordPress.com. And we were so frustrated. It took us 4 hours. And here's the thing, Josh. This is totally sidetracked, but I'll tell you.
I have skin in this game.
Once you install a plugin on your WordPress.com blog, you cannot not be public. So there's no staging. When you're building your site, you can make it, like not public, just have preview mode. Once you put a plugin on there, it's live. And the whole thing is cowboy coding all the time.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I got a little bit of like background on what their server stack is for those. And it sounds like a fantastic deal at $300.
Well, because it's just a white labeled of pressed, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a great deal for $300-400. I mean, I'm a big Pantheon fan and a big WP Engine fan, and like I don't make
sure their
websites.
Stack is great. Nobody's talking about anybody's Stack. We're talking about the experience, right?
Okay, so I tweeted at them and said, "Hey, is there technical documentation or something?" Right? Because customers were asking me, "Can I use Caldera Forms or WordPress.com now?" And I was like, "I don't know. Try it. Let me know." It was like, the support experience, but it was like the best I could do. Like, hey, I'm gonna let you down here, but I don't know. Let me know what you find out. So
that's what they're doing. They're co-branding with us and we're co-branding with them. And essentially that's why we give back. I know that I have a job because WordPress exists. And so it doesn't make me feel like, oh, why am I giving the next 72 hours of my life to WordCamp LA? In addition to the last 6 months, because I know that this is why I have a job, which is why I can pay the rent. Right. Yeah. So we co-brand with them. And then because of that, they have a volunteer labor force. It's mutually beneficial.
Yes. And that's what all of this stuff is about, right? It's worth it to me, to go to a WordCamp, right? Like my company's paying however much money for me to fly out to California.
Right.
Be here for 6 days. And I'm, totally going to be behind on everything by the time I get back. And I'm making peace with that.
Right.
Yeah, but you're going to the
letting those kind of structures go right now. That's like a big focus of mine. I'm on. I was showing at dinner. I was showing I've been optimized for happiness Asana task, and like without like the main like big header points, lots of subtasks, and I'm almost done with point 2, which is don't be stressed out all the time. Point 1 was don't migrate.
Is it the one that's always sending you emails that you're behind on? Don't be stressed. Asana, you're behind on this task. You're behind because that's what Asana is driving me crazy.
In Project Optimized for Happiness, there are no due dates. Because I don't want to.
Thank goodness.
I don't want to get stressed out about the
project assigned to Christy, project assigned to Josh, project assigned to Christy, project assigned to Josh.
Okay, this one is all personal, but I did add her as a follower on Get Personal Finances More in Order because she's good at that stuff and I don't know anything.
That's so awesome. I love it.
So that's point 3. I'm almost done with point 2. Oh, what are we talking about?
So going back to
the big level, high level, mutually beneficial relationships in different forms.
Yeah, and I'm curious about this a little bit. So I'm looking on WordPress.com site, and again, I'm a bad person in that I don't have a WordPress.com site that I actually go and play around with, and I definitely am not paying for a site on WordPress.com to be able to do all the stuff that you could do. But what I'm curious about is that at some point, there has to be a conversation that happens with you and WordPress.com if you're a developer of a theme or a plugin, that you go to them and say, hey, look, I want to do this thing. So like, for instance, in this screenshot, I see that Page Builder by Site Origin is on there. I see that BuddyPress is on there. I see that Yoast SEO is on there. WooCommerce is on there. I mean, some of these things are owned by WordPress or its subsidiaries or its whatever's. But then you have something like Contact Form 7 that's on there. You have a WordPress importer. You have Jetpack. So you have all these different kinds of things that are on there. So I mean, not that we all know what the answers are to this, but like there has to be a process that has to happen that goes like, I'm popular in this thing. I want to have my plugin made available in your kind of walled garden repo that's there that's just for your WordPress.com customers. So how
I think that WordPress.com, I think what you're saying here, Jason, this isn't me saying it. This is
go for
Jason
it.
But obviously I support Jason. What Jason Tucker is saying, Jason Tucker, influencer in the WordPress space, hosts of WPblab and WPwatercooler, is suggesting that WordPress.com's business plans would be better if instead of recommending Contact Form 7, they recommended Caldera Forms.
Yes, that would be correct.
Jason Tucker, WordPress influencer. Right? Is what's
Put
happening.
that on your
That's
website.
the takeaway from this, is that everybody at Automatic should go and change that so it recommends it.
Yep.
This is what he's saying. This is what Jason's saying. So yeah, I mean, those are often difficult conversations, especially when it's like you do a form plugin and you're 6 years late to the game. Which
and Josh,
years late, or you learn from everybody else's mistakes. It's one or the other.
And Josh, the reason why I'm asking this is like take a look at like the iPhone, for instance. Android has this as well. But you have all these recommended things. You have all these things that are new that either somebody's throwing a lot of money at this to make sure that they show up here, or it's something that it's this thing's so popular, like Yoast. So popular, everybody and their dog uses it, including all the cat blogs. Okay, all of them have it on there, and they have to have this thing on there. So
let me talk strategically about that.
Yeah.
As I said, we're starting to get big. We're still, how many active installs Contact Form 7 have? 3 million, 4 million? Right? So they're literally on order of magnitude larger than us. Yeah. They've been around longer. They're an established thing. And it's a good plugin. We know it works. It's been around this long, right? And so that was even harder when it was like, hey, we're new, right? We have 10,000 active installs. That's exciting to us. Nobody's heard of us, right? That's very hard. And I think if I had to give advice to somebody who's starting out, make these partnerships, right? And start them by just giving. If somebody comes to me and says, I have a new product and I'd like to talk about how it works with Caldera Forms, that's great. Look, I'm busy. I've been so much crap going on. It's really hard for me to get around to testing out a new thing. I'm super excited when somebody asks me to test a thing and I'm like, oh man, I need that. Because I feel bad when somebody asks me to test something out. And I don't need it. Like, it looks neat and I like tweet about it. But if somebody comes to me, now that I'm starting to be, in a position where I can really help people, if somebody comes to me and just says, hey, I've got this thing, it works with Caldera Forms. Can you message it? Can you share a link? Can you do a tweet? Can we write a blog post for you? That's great. I think that's the best way to establish a relationship with somebody that you think could help, where you have that kind of fertile crossover between your audiences. Once you've established who those are and make those friends, is just to start with those kind of, like, seriously, send me an email and tell me about how you want to share how Caldera Forms works with your thing. Josh at CalderaWP.com. Let's talk. That sounds great. I think that's a really good strategy. Making yourself useful to other people. Hey, you don't know me, but I think that you might have seen that I did X, Y, and Z. Thing that you're excited about, right? Yeah. People get to be all that, like somebody will message me and it'll be a thing for, an animal, no-kill animal shelter, and I'll just go out of my way to help them, right? Because that's something that's important to me, or, something like that. And I think that those things, those things are great ways to start on a relationship. And I think this is something that we were talking about briefly before we started. I think it's so important is that these things do take time, which is an expense. I tried to say they were free, and Bridget corrected me. And Bridget was right. That they are an expensive time. Social media marketing is an expensive time. But they're worth it. And they're cost effective in terms of when you're starting a business. That's what you have to your advantages. You don't have a lot of, not having customers gives you time, right? We spend a lot of time in our business maintaining our existing customers. That's a huge expensive time. Answering support tickets, answering answering contact form submissions, talking on social media to people, finding out that you know, Caldera Forms plus whatever theme has whatever weird issue that, you know, we got to fix up, right? And it's the thing for WordPress. So we spend a lot of time maintaining customers, maintaining our existing business, that when you start out, you don't have that, right? It's a real luxury starting out to not have users. And it's an advantage that you have over your competitors. Your competitors are trying to innovate, maintain, and you know, keep those existing customers happy. Where if you have 10 customers, it's like, okay, like how many of them what would it get in a day?
Well, that also makes it really challenging when you're going to introduce a paid add-on, a paid type of anything, a new anything, even if it's not paid, it's totally free. But hey, there's this new feature that just came out. We didn't do a really good job of like putting it front and center, but this thing will change your life if you actually go and click on this one button over here on the side. Like those types of things that you couldn't do that if the person's just starting out as a customer of yours. But if they're a long-term customer and they're finally going and saying like, oh wow, you could do that, like you can make Zapier talk to, you know, to this. Wow, these two things talk to each other. And now I can have it do this other thing over here. Oh, that's awesome. You know, like those are the types of things that you can't do unless that customer has been around long enough. And that's the point that you're making, is that you want to make sure that you can keep those customers sticking around. Yeah.
And that's an opportunity to build partnerships, right? Because they've chosen to insert your product into something that's important to them, their client work, right? Yep. You are these brief partnerships, right? When you do support, right? I've done support. It was like, you know, my first job in the WordPress world was doing support for pods. And, you know, now I do support for Caldera and Forms. And I would never not do support, right? If we had a full-time support team, I would still answer a few tickets. I mean, I think it's really important as a developer to, one of the things that I learned from support is how to use Caldera Forms. People show me this stuff that they've done with Caldera Forms. I'm like, whoa, that's neat. Like, I never thought to do that.
Bridget said the same thing about Give. She's totally done the same thing with Give. She's even said it while she's on the show here. She's like, I didn't know it could do that. And then I started playing with it, and oh my gosh, it totally does that too. How cool is that, right? I mean,
well, because they changed it so fast that, but when I was there 2 years ago, it looks totally different now. Yeah. I mean, we're on 1.8 or 1.9.14.
Right.
Right. And we have, you know, we use Caldera Forms on CalderaForms.com and on JoshPress.net, but, you know, we have forms that do very specific things, and, you know, we're not doing client work. So people, you know, are building these very complex calculators. You know, I was helping somebody was doing the other day with like selling different types of like plumbing supplies. So it's all like different diameters, and then you have to worry about like how much pressure is going through whether or not. Like, I don't even understand the mathematics, but this super complex thing, and I'm like, oh geez, like that's amazing.
It's like
what they do.
It's the plumbing version of a stack, Josh.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, about capacity.
So I like support for that. You're building these partnerships because you're in it with them, right? If they're opening support tickets because they couldn't figure out something or they ran into a bug or whatever, and so you have these. I think it's a good way to be cut when people being a customer-focused product or customer-focused company is a buzzword, but what it really boils down to is finding it is treating your customers as partners, because you are, right? You've given them what they need. And then as a customer, you know, as a product person, and then as a customer support person for that product, you're helping them over the finish line. Either they're missing something conceptually, or they found a bug, or they found an incompatibility with something because, you know, it's WordPress.
Well, and I think the thing is because of that, you're now going to be able to say, hey, by the way, I have this co-branded application that we didn't write, but totally works with us because we've tested it both directions. Everything works great. You can trust us because we know that this thing works correctly. Feel free to go take a look at the menu of items that we have available on our website of all these different things that other people have made that work really well with the thing that you like, which is our product. And at that point, now the person goes like, wow. So not only does this thing work with, you know, normal WordPress out of the box, but whoa, now this thing works with DIVI too. Like, how cool is that? Now I know that this thing can actually talk, or now this thing can actually do a better experience of using PayPal. Because, you know, PayPal is not going to come to you, Josh, and be like, hey, PayPal, we're wondering, can you make a better mousetrap that ties into our system? No, they're not going to do that. But you know that your business and the people that are going to be buying those products will really want to be able to have a 100% totally fluid, totally easy experience using PayPal.
Yeah, dude.
Somebody built that mousetrap and then sold it.
Out in 2 weeks. Super dope. Like, seriously, I'm super excited about this. Like, as a user, right? Like like in subscription recurring ad payments with PayPal, like the REST API stuff that they have. So, the bounce there is super neat. Sorry, I'm excited about it.
That's
and the fact that I didn't make it. This is what's cool about WordPress, is that it is a thing that just kind of happened because people needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Is an undesigned project. I have a bit of a background in design research. This is something that this is actually how I got into it. I was studying design, not like visual design, like
conceptual
courses,
and tying all the pieces together.
I almost didn't graduate from college because of how bad I am at that stuff.
Wow.
Like I had to take a bunch of design courses, and one of them was like a straight up studio course.
Oh boy.
Ooh, I almost didn't graduate. And it was like I was one of those jerks who, like, in his last semester of undergrad was taking like first semester courses. Like I took Intro to Environmental Studies to satisfy that requirement for my environmental studies degree my last semester in college. But I also took this studio design class after I'd taken all these like high level design classes. I had to take this like theory. I took this like studio class that was like how I learned Photoshop. But like they had these like art projects, and it was like me and like 3 like kids who had just gotten into like Parsons School of Design, and then but they were like the 3 worst that got stuck with me. It was just a disaster. All right, we're off topic. Sorry, it keeps happening.
No, dude, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I did want to mention something regarding the way in which the two companies will end up interacting. So for you, you have the burden of having all of these different companies now interacting with you, where they just have to interact with you directly, and that's it. So how does, one of the things you mentioned earlier, probably about like the first quarter of the show, is that you mentioned about support and how support works. So, there has to be some type of either an agreement, a relationship, I'm going to scratch your back, you're going to scratch mine, some type of crossover between that when my product just does not work with your product and my customer's mad about it. Is it your product that's messed up, or is it my product that's messed up? And how do we get those two to talk to each other? So have you guys crossed that bridge at all yet?
Oh, yeah. I think this is a good place where it comes up to having relationships where it's like, hey, I actually know them. For example, we had an issue with WPML compatibility, and I started to type the words, hey, you should open up a ticket with them and tell them this, and tell them if they need to, they should, right? I started typing that in ticket. I hate writing that. I don't want to get that as a customer of other products, and I do not want to send that. And sometimes I have to. But then I said, hey, this person could wait an hour. And I opened up Facebook Facebook Messenger, and messaged Lauren from On The Go Systems, makes WPML, right? You guys know Lauren, Jeff Cove?
Yeah.
And she works there. She's a support there. She's a Caldera Forms user. And I said, hey, can we get on a hangout real quick and help me answer this ticket? Because then you won't have to answer the ticket, and our mutual customer will be happier, right? Yep. That's one of the benefits of having these community relationships. Yeah. I think the other thing is that one of the things that we're really focusing on is avoiding these things. So I've been working, going on people's GitHub and discussing with them. I just merged a ticket that a engineer from Lightspeed, it's web server, right? Kind of like Apache or Nginx, right? We had some conflict in whatever edge case. I talked on Twitter. I told them to open a GitHub issue. One of their engineers wrote, a 3-line pull request for Caldera Forms. Now they don't have to document how to do this fix. We don't have to answer the tickets, which we don't know how to answer. It's just going to be fixed. We're working on it. We have a conflict with auto optimize. We're just fixing that in auto optimize. And this is kind of my focus is, one of the things I'm obsessed with is right now, like Caldera Forms Pro is, our newest thing, and it handles the emails and helps handles email delivery, which is a problem, right? It's our number one support thing. It's the number one frustration is. And so I just built an app that gets rid of that. And then the other thing that it does is it gives us better error logging information. So instead of telling people like, hey, you need to like turn on like, hey, WP debug is a thing, WP log is a thing, do this and this, I just look up what errors their sites generate, right? And so that's a great way to look at partnerships. Is it doesn't really require much. It's just saying like, hey, how about both of us have less tickets and our customers are happier? That's the cleanest relationship. Hey, all I want from you is you to add 4 lines of code, and I've written 3 of them, and then our customers will be happy, and you and I won't answer as many tickets. Apex WordPress. Those are the best.
Yeah, Bridget, what you got?
I feel like there's a pattern emerging, and And our audience knows and forgives us and loves us for derailing and re-railing and derailing and re-railing, because that's what the show is all about. But we always go back. So I just want to, like, last 10 minutes, let's circle back, be serious. For the people that have stayed with us for the last 50, including those in the chat, I see a pattern, Josh. And I would like for you to emphasize this point, because just in case it got lost. Co-brands, this is something I say all the time, and I just talked to Jen Miller about it again today. A logo is not a brand. In fact, it was really interesting because my friend Jason Tucker sent me a text message yesterday because he was behind a truck for a company I used to work for. And he goes, "Oh my God, is this your truck? Is this the company you used to work for?" And I was like, "It is." And Jen goes, "That's so funny." And I go, "But this is what people never understand that I've been saying for years. A logo by itself has no meaning. It's the relationships that you build with the people that makes it have meaning. I don't care about Caldera until I talk to Christy Chirinos in Chicago. Now I care about Caldera, and Caldera's on my laptop because it's a symbol. A logo is a symbol, just like a Japanese character or just like an alphabet. It's 2 dimensions. It's not who you are. So people follow people throughout companies and jobs and visions and those kinds of things. And so what I've heard in your pattern of talking about how you've built through support, through WordCamps, through going to Facebook groups, is one thread, Josh, that you are building co-branding with other companies because of the relationships you have with individual people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that.
And so what I'm saying is, it's the people that matter. It's the people that make the brand. What do you have as a response to that, Mr. Pollock?
Yes. Strongest agreements. Think about people, right? Like, if people didn't, I can't remember, did we establish before or after we started recording that I'm at Roy's house in Los Angeles?
Before, but
Before.
now it's
okay.
after.
Anyway, this is like Roy's office. Like,
Hi, Roy.
Your OPSEC is all screwed up now, dude.
Right? But it is about the people, right? Like, I came out to WordCamp LA a couple days early, and like I'm hanging out with Roy, and like Mike's here, and like it'd be great, right? Like, I'm going to go directly from this to hanging out with my bros outside, right? Amazing. I think it is legitimately all about the people in terms of. I said it earlier. I will never apologize for wanting to make money, but that's not the point. And the point is, this is supposed to be fun. If it's not fun, screw it, right? Like, there's a lot, right? Like, I enjoy my job. My job's hard as hell. I put a lot. It's a lot of stress, which I'm working on, and I'm getting a lot healthier with, which is great. It's a lot of responsibility, and it is a lot of time. Right? I spend a lot of time working, and I only do it because it's fun. Right? Like, and I'm not complaining. This is not me complaining. It's acknowledging this is hard, and this is difficult, and it's often stressful, and I'm not always happy. But overall, I have a lot of fun with it, and the reason why it's fun is A, I love coding, and B, I love like this whole thing of like you meet cool people like all over the world, and then you make cool stuff together, and then you like lift each other up together, and that's really wonderful. And I saw that as soon as I came into the community and started going to WordCamp, people who I had, sort of seen like they made cool products. Look at like Corey Miller, right? Like, everybody loves Corey Miller, and it's, iTunes makes nice stuff, but do we know them first because they've done so much to support our community and because of that stuff, or because of the products? Well, it's a little bit of both, right? Backup Buddy's great.
I don't use iTunes, but I respect the hell out of Corey Miller.
And I read their blog, and I've gone to a bunch of their, done a bunch of their webinars. But I'm not like, I don't need Backup Buddy. It's just not a thing I need. I'm not saying anything bad about it.
Right.
I'm not their customer.
But you like that person.
Right. And that's the thing that I saw early on in this community. This willingness to go out of your way to do something that doesn't have a direct benefit, because it's going to come back around in a wonderful way for everybody, and encourage other people to be that way. And that's the thing that drew me in very quickly to this community. And I think I am strongly agreeing with Bridget's summation of that's what it is. And it's great because I'm here for a WordCamp. We're doing Bridget and I are participating in this beginner WordPress workshop at WordCamp LA tomorrow. And that's literally what it is. And whether it's go to WordCamps or email people or follow people on Twitter, yes.
So I have a follow-up.
Mm-hmm.
When you are building these relationships and co-branding, how much does it matter that your core values align?
If it matters to the product, if it matters to whether or not you want to spend time with people, right? Because that's the thing, is that you're going to end up having to talk to people. So I'm not going to like ask like, you know, what's your politics? Like, are you as much of an atheist as I am, or you're out of the equation? Like, no. But like, if I don't want to be around you, right? If we have some sort of disagreement that makes me a fundamental flaw that like sort of makes me dislike you as a person, like, why should I go out of my way to like spend more time associating with you?
Well, like, so for me, I get a little bit of flack because I'm like the den mother of Give. And that's like my self-proclaimed stats, but it's literally my job as a marketing manager to protect the brand voice.
Yeah.
So there's no way I'm going to let them, without me kicking and screaming, co-brand with somebody who F-bombs on all their tweets. Not with Give. They can do it with WordPress. I don't give a crap. WordPress can be funny. I don't let them be funny and ridiculous. In fact, I go and tell my friends Ansel and you guys, I'm like, do all your trolling with Matt and Adam Warner, but just keep Give out of it. Like, I'll individually tell you guys, if I don't mind saying it in public, because I'm protecting that brand, because this brand Give is about money and trust and goodness. WordPress, we're ridiculous. We have memes. We're funny. It's GIF Wars or GIF Wars, because we love Jason Tucker. We're going to call it GIF on his show. And, you know, and we do all these things, right? So like there are different core values. So a brand that's ridiculous and funny and maybe a little too edgy, I'm not going to align with. Like Wendy's had some big thing with tweeting, and they were like way out of control. I would never co-brand with Wendy's, right? I like their cheeseburgers. I'm fine with their chicken nuggets or whatever. I don't think they have vegan options for you, Josh. But like, I'm fine eating there, but I would never co-brand with Give. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think when you're co-branding, you need to look at the voice of the other brand and yours, not just align because they're a big name. Yeah. Like we've had conversations where, oh, we need a model to talk about Give. No, we don't. They're not the influencers we want. You know, they're not.
But just remember, Microsoft did make Office for the Mac.
I know.
So that's the thing. Both of them were so big that they didn't matter anyhow. Like the CEOs could hate each other, they could love each other, they could whatever each other. But in the end of the day, both of those places need to make money. They need to make sure their customers happy, and they want to make sure that no matter which platform you're using, you're still going to be able to open up a docx file.
No, I mean, Microsoft bailed Apple out.
Yeah, they invested in them when they were about to go to business.
Well, that's a different thing, because they're not co-branding, but they're surviving together. If Coke, if Coke sales are high and Pepsi stops advertising, Coke goes down and they don't advertise. They advertise and scale together, because they know that that's not co-branding, but it's alignment of advertising strategy. And Windows knew they needed Apple in order to compete, right? But when you're saying, you know, like if we took we wouldn't take Wix as an advertiser on the WP Watercooler network because we don't align with them.
We take Squarespace's money all day long.
I'm just saying, like, that should be a real consideration. I'm just going to put that out there. That's my opinion as a marketing manager of a plugin shop. If there was, you know, we have a lot of people in this community who are super awesome and amazing, but we have a lot of people who are really abrasive.
Yeah. Well, and that may, you know what, that may be a topic that we end up covering at some point.
I would not align with that. And that's their shtick. And I'm fine with that. WordPress can align with those people all goddamn day long, right? But I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some of that, like Caldera is adorable, right? But if I had a Give Caldera, if I had a Give Dara, if I had a cat Give, like now we're competing. But Christy was like, you should make one for Sully. And I'm like, but And it was a joke, but at the same time, I go, Sully isn't social and he's not good with people. It doesn't align with our brand standards. So we're not making a Sully
This is based on Christy's cat, who is a cat.
I know, that's why
I never
she
met
said.
her cat, but I assume that her cat is a cat.
No, but that's why she said you should do it with Sully. And I go, Sully hates people. He barks and he's grouchy. He doesn't align. My dog that I love with all my heart does not align with the Give brand standards. He will never represent Give. It's
you post photos of your dog on like Instagram, and I always heart them because your dog's so cute.
He's cute until you're here. Every time somebody walks up the stairs, he starts barking, and Julie's like,
folks, that's about it.
I show a photo of my dog? I was about to show a photo of my dog. Hold on.
Yeah, please do.
Aww.
Oh, very cute.
What a beautiful dog. What's your dog's name?
Josie.
Josie?
Yes.
Oh, it looks like we need a Josie Dara.
Pup Dara. Jim
Dara.
Pup Dara.
Told me I need to make a Pup Dara, and I was like, yes.
Nice.
So just to recap, for the sake of clarity, Josh recommends that if you start out your company, start by giving, which is the best thing to do anyway. When you don't have customers, use that time to make your roadmap. Set up assignments in Asana with no due dates for your happiness. Co-brand with people that align with your values that you like spending time with. Meet those people at work camps, Facebook groups. If you don't like hanging out with them, maybe go co-branding with them isn't a good idea, but you could still refer them to other people. And if you want to use a form that's super awesome, check out Caldera Forms at calderaforms.com. Josh will be at WordCamp LA this weekend. WordCamp Riverside is also accepting speaker submissions and sponsor submissions. I told Various I would say that. And I'm going to let Jason Tucker finish the rest.
Oh, man, you're almost done. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com. You can click on the links there to subscribe. If you like this particular content, hit the little thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. And lastly, if you like this stuff and you think you have a coworker, a friend, somebody you want to co-brand with, any of those sorts of things, feel free to send this stuff over to those people. We just put this on YouTube, and you can just watch it on YouTube. It's all available for you to check out. So feel free to go take a look at all that stuff, and please share. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for all the folks that helped us out with our show notes. We really appreciate your efforts and your time that you spend in writing all the things that we talk about and turning it into actual English that somebody can read later. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, Cheryl and Sherry. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.